This episode is sponsored by Echo. Hear clearly, care confidently.
Learn more at echohealth.com. That's EKO health.com. And use code JSP for $50 off any stethoscope until December 31st.
Just Some Podcast Media.
The thoughts and opinions on Just Some Podcast are of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of organizations that employ them or they volunteer for. They are also not responsible for spontaneous black holes or nuclear wars that may occur. You have been warned.
Welcome, everybody, to another fun-filled and exciting episode of Just Some Podcast. This is Tom.
Hey, this is Ben. Tom, how are you, man?
Fantastic. And that's it. Yeah.
I like how that's one of those things where, like, your tone does not match the words.
Yes.
I know. I am happy. I am so happy right now.
I know. I've been practicing that. Like, Tom, are you having a good day? I am having a great day. Thank you for asking.
Now you're going all NPR.
Yeah, it really unsettles people, though. It's like the human brain subconsciously recognizes this isn't safe. Like there's something that happens. So
yeah, it's like I'm in danger. Yeah,
yeah, the Ralph meme.
Yes.
But no, it's been a great week. Lots of exciting things have been going on personally, so that's good. Work, obviously busy, but again, anybody who knows anything about healthcare, that's not a shock to. But other than that, everything's great. How are things down in your neck of the woods?
Oh, things aren't too bad. Seeing patients, and of course, my wife and I do Toys for Tots, and it's December, so we're knee deep in toys. And yeah, but you just got a new car recently too, didn't you?
I did, because everybody said, why would you buy a new car right now? The market is horrible. And trust me, friends, I could not agree more. But when the car you were usually driving is totaled with you in it, you generally don't have a lot of options about, fixing it. And so I loved the car market, though, to go to these huge car dealerships and they'd be like, we have 3 vehicles available. I'm like, awesome. And they're like, hey, we're going to charge you extra because there's only 3 and you can't find anything else anywhere anyways. So I'm like, oh, so happy to be a consumer right now.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic. But all in all, found a car super happy with. It was just one of those that kind of happened. It was recommended by somebody else, and very, very excited that I have this car. Every day I drive it, I'm like, ooh, it's like I find something new. Like every day it's like a little surprise. It's like my own little advent calendar, but a car. I'm like, I didn't know this could happen. If I just push this button, it does this cool thing. So it's been fun.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that even though it's not a buyer's market, that at least you found something. And yeah.
Yeah, you do all these good deeds for humanity, and they're like, what'd you do, Tom? I'm like, I bought a car. So,
At least you're not walking, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, that would be an interesting commute to work. I will see you at the time I am then going to clock out at. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
You're going to leave earlier.
Yeah. I worked for a total of 1.5 minutes today.
And yet you're still behind in charts. What the hell?
Yeah. The perpetual family nurse practitioner condition. I'm behind on charts.
The treadmill, I'm telling you, you're never going to catch up. You just hope not to fall off the end.
Sometimes I catch up, and I think that's what makes it more heartbreaking to get behind is you're like, oh, I remember what it was like to not have to work every day off. And then you just get over it and just finish your charts. So
it is what it is.
Correct.
Well, let's do our social media shout out and do our story, and then we'll get into our topic, which is us.
Oh, thank you.
If you're looking for us, and we know you are because you're listening to us right now, You can find us Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon, all at Just Some Podcast. You can find us on the web at www.justsomepodcast.com. Our email, jsp@justsomepodcast.com. And don't forget over there on Patreon, because yes, I did mention Patreon, you can get all the unedited episodes, like all the conversations that Tom and I just had before I did the social media shout out that no one else heard. You can hear that out over on Patreon. So check that out over there. Tom, let's say they want to help us out. What could they do?
Well, they could go to our page. They could scroll down to just about the bottom, and they'll find an Amazon affiliate link before they do any shopping, especially this year before Christmas, because I know some of you, including myself, are still doing it. Go ahead, click on that link before you look at anything or put anything in your cart. Then you can just add it, make your purchase like normal, and it helps out the show, and you won't even know we were there. So please do so as soon as possible. But I kind of thought about something like, what if they were like, I'll pay extra to just hear the edited? Like, they're like, what?
Ooh.
Yeah. They're like, can I just go to a super edited version where we cut out most of you talking? I'm like, wow, bold move, sir. But yes, you can.
We just want the intro music and the outro. And go, yeah, I listened to that episode. It was a good episode. Good job.
So yeah, I guess we'll have to make another level, like the executive VIP level, and charge an outrageous amount of money for people that are like, I want to hear this at 3 times speed and completely edited, and just see what happens. So,
well, you never know. So, if there's desire for that, email us. Let us know.
Yeah, please do so.
Well, Tom, let's get into our story that you may have missed. And I told you before we hit the record button that this one was going to anger you a little bit.
Great.
I like to get you good and fired up. I haven't got you fired up in a long time, so.
That is correct. You have not.
Well, that streak is over.
Oh, boy. I can't wait to hear this.
This comes from the great state of Tennessee. And for the second time in 2 weeks, a Republican lawmaker has implied the Tennessee's top medical licensing board could be dismantled during an ongoing dispute between the board's efforts to discipline physicians who spread misinformation about coronavirus vaccines. So the Board of Medical Examiners in Tennessee unanimously adopted a policy in September establishing doctors who spread falsehoods about the vaccines could have their medical license suspended and revoked. Now, this was a one-paragraph policy that went along with the Federation of State Medical Boards. The doctors have an ethical and professional responsibility to share factual information about the coronavirus vaccines and could face consequences if they did not. The board also instructed the Department of Health to investigate doctors who are spreading misinformation to patients or social media, prioritizing extreme cases involving conspiracy theories, outlandish lies, or false claims that were easily disprovable. Now, lawmakers in the great state of Tennessee said, no. They have responded with 3 bills that have prohibited the board from disciplining doctors for how they treat or what they say about the coronavirus. And Representative John Reagan, who co-chairs the committee, insists that even before the new law, the board did not have the authority to create its misinformation policy on its own. He sent 3 letters demanding the board remove the policy from its website, which Reagan argues makes the policy void, but the board did not take action. He eventually threatened to dissolve the board entirely if the policy was not deleted. And now he says he did not recall making such a threat and insisted that he did not have the authority to dissolve the board on his own, that it was just a general assembly.
Yeah, that's correct. He cannot do that. But
Here's the other thing I found interesting about this committee hearing that they had. There was 2 Nashville area physicians. They attempted to give public comment in opposition to lawmakers micromanaging the medical board, but Reagan shut them down because he insisted that their comments were not directly related to the committee's agenda. However, he did permit a 3rd physician who questioned how doctors were supposed to follow the medical board's misinformation policy. So, initially what the board did to satisfy Mr. Reagan was they just deleted it off of their website, leaving the policy still intact, which, I got to salute you. That was
okay. Yeah.
That was smart. I like that. In Tennessee, they have sunset hearings, which is a legislative process that weighs the possibility of dissolving governmental agencies or boards every few years. And the Board of Medical Examiners is expected to face a sunset hearing in 2022.
That should make you real happy if you're a patient in Tennessee.
So a second Republican, Representative Calfee stated that he was, quote, "I'm probably not the only one up here that was extremely offended by the response about seeing if the board had any interest in bringing this definition back. They're wanting a definition of misinformation."
Okay.
And there was a representative from the board there, and she said that she would be happy to take it back to the board, but there was not full representation from the board there. And he got offended to that and said, "I think that the chairman has an ask that it be sent back to him in writing. I don't think it's up for the board to decide, and I, for one, will remember that comment when you come up for sunset."
Okay. So you were 100% correct on your assumption that this would make me angry.
I know.
Thank you. So trying to remain calm. Let's have this discussion. So first of all, the irony of two people that I am 100% sure do not support cancel culture have basically just initiated cancel culture on a medical examination review board because they didn't like what they said. They're not doctors. They have no idea how doctors work. They have none of the education or criteria or certifications or literally anything involving common sense about how to deal with the Tennessee Medical Board, but they're going to tell them how to do their job. And again, this is a common theme, just like when Ohio had that debacle where they were trying to make it a state law about ectopic pregnancies.
Yes.
And how you were supposed to implant them. And then they openly admitted they had no medical training and were trying to make a law affecting doctors. This really is not different. I would say that there is a variation, though. And I heard another physician say this, and I actually agree with him, is I would caution people getting gun happy with reprimanding physicians for things that they don't like. I don't think that this directly fits that because we're talking about specific misinformation, not do you recommend it, not recommend it, do you like it, not like it. That's not what the language says. It says specifically if you're spreading falsehoods, lies, misinformation, which I think is good. However, I would not be 100% truthful if I didn't say there is that part of me that goes, how do we make sure that this doesn't fall into state representatives go, well, I like cherry Kool-Aid, so if you say cherry Kool-Aid's bad, then we can reprimand your license. Like that is a legitimate concern. And those are things that I'm like, the people that have those fears aren't wrong. So I do think that this is a good thing as far as, like I said, saying lies and stuff on purpose is a far cry different than saying I do or don't like the vaccine. I think you can say that to your patients. Well, I wouldn't recommend it. But if your patient says, do you like it? They're asking your opinion. And if you say no, I don't think that that's necessarily good or bad. But to tell a patient a lie to try and dissuade them from getting the vaccine is what I think the intention
I agree
of this clause is. And I think that's a good thing. I don't understand what the problem is with reprimanding someone for lying to their patient. Like that should just be general information. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure it is. Like, I'm sure that they're just adding this addendum onto something to state specifically about COVID-19, and that there's probably already stuff on the books and bylaws that say, if you lie to patients on purpose, you're going to be in trouble. So I don't really understand the full depth of why people that are not doctors are trying to tell the medical board how to do their job. And I don't understand why they think we should be allowed to lie in theory to our patients.
For the public who may not be aware, medical boards of nursing, they are there for the sole purpose of public health, in that they are protecting the public. That is their job. Yes, we get our license through them. Yes, we pay them for that service, but ultimately it boils down to they are there to protect the public. That is what I think that they are doing in this case. I think they have to have something in place so that if there is an egregious violation of someone posting, a physician posting on social media saying, oh yeah, if you get the COVID vaccine, you're going to become magnetic and spoons will stick to you, they at least have an avenue to pursue that. Now, do I think that they're going to go after every single person who doesn't agree with them? No, I don't.
No, I don't think so either.
But I do think that there has to be something in place to to deal with that.
I also, and this is something you've said before in the air, and I agree, this is also probably there for people that are saying, hey, don't get the COVID-19 vaccine. Get Dr. Tom's homeopathic elixir, which will protect you from COVID-19.
Full of colloidal silver.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Insert whatever BS you want here. But I think that might also be part of this, is so that they have built in the case to say, so you hurt your patients because you lied to them and then you sold them a product in the face of good science. I truly believe that's what the intent is. However, like I said, there is that part of me that goes, okay, and I agree with it, but who and where decides where that line is that we don't do this? Because I completely 100% do not want to see opinions. And again, I think it's wrong on an ethical level to make your personal opinion part of the treatment option in most cases. Like, I'm sure there's always that place where, you give like, well, I think, whatever.
Right.
But I think this is a different animal because people have become so polarized. And again, a lot of the people driving the polarization are the people that are saying how polarized other people are. Like, I noticed the only people that are really talking about, well, this is just polarizing America. I'm like, yeah, but you're the one on TV talking about it. Like, you're the one polarizing it. Like, yeah, stop. So I think that this is good intent. But like I said, I've heard other people talk about it, and I think they brought up a valid point, which is I don't think physicians should be in trouble for opinions. And I don't think that this is something I want to see become common. Because again, the medical board is there for public safety. You're 100% correct. The very people that, again, I guarantee you, their Facebook page says I'm anti-cancel culture, but I'm going to cancel anybody that doesn't agree with me. They don't understand the irony of which they are partaking in. And unfortunately, they keep getting voted into office. That's another thing, is these people that are setting these laws, they keep getting voted back in and they keep doing dumb things. And I mean that on both sides. That's not a Republican or a Democrat statement. That's a
general
political statement. Yeah, that's a general statement about American politics the last, 50 years. It's a dangerous time. And I feel terrible for that medical board being put in the position of, you entrusted us with public health and safety, but then want to question the very manner in which we do it.
Yep.
It's tough.
Well, and the last thing that I thought about this, and then we can move on, but let's just hypothetically speaking, say they disband the medical examiners board. So there's no board now to oversee physicians in the state of Tennessee. Who the hell's going to protect the public? Who the hell's going to stop a Christopher Dunst from coming into Tennessee and killing and maiming patients? And who the hell's going to license all these physicians?
Well, that's what I was going to say is, realistically, your license is issued by the state.
Yeah.
So if the state agency which oversees you no longer exists, are you actually able to practice?
Not in Tennessee, apparently.
Yeah. So
hypothetically.
Yeah, these are all hypotheticals, but I think that's a very good, question if there's any legal scholars that want to write into the show. But so what happens? And again, the people that make these threats and say these stupid things politically are often people that have no idea of what they're actually talking about. Because if they were actual physicians, they would know you can't just do that. Yeah. Nor should you get to argue with the medical review board because you don't like what they said. Like, that's also like, that defeats the purpose of the institution on which you're attacking. But I digress. So can we get on to something else? Otherwise, I'll just keep talking about it.
Yeah, Tom, we can stop here and we'll talk about our sponsor, Echo Health, for a second. So you have the 3M Littman Core Digital Stethoscope, right?
Correct, Ben. And I cannot talk enough about how great that stethoscope has been. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact right now, at least one other provider is getting that for Christmas because they talked about how great it was after just using mine a couple times. It's clear. The sounds are crisp. It's got noise canceling technology. It's really everything you want when you're listening to a person, just enhanced and even better.
Yeah, it's got that 40-time amplification, that noise cancellation that I really love. I really do. Like, if I'm listening to my patient's lung sounds and heart sounds, and let's say their wife is over in the next chair to them talking, I can literally not hear. I can see their mouth moving, but I cannot hear anything except what I'm listening to. The noise cancellation is wonderful.
And for people that use your stethoscope every day, it is a blessing that you don't even understand until you use it. And it's true. It sounds great in theory, but when you actually start using the 3M Littman Core Digital stethoscope, it is a world apart. And I can't encourage everyone to buy one as soon as possible, especially for the holidays.
So where can they find those at, Tom?
They can go to ecohealth.com. That's ekohealth.com, and they can put in the code JSP for $50 off any purchase of a stethoscope up until December 31st.
And they offer shipping in time for Christmas. So go get one now. ecohealth.com, ekohealth.com, code JSP. All right, Tom, let's get into our main topic, which, as I alluded to earlier, and if people have read the show notes, they know it's about us.
Yeah.
So we're calling this show The Evolution of JSP. And, maybe we picked up listeners along the way, so they may not know some of what we had transpire over the years. And so I kind of want to give a brief history so that we can discuss where things move forward. You okay with that?
I really wasn't paying attention to anything you were saying, so.
Oh, so it's like a normal show. So we started Just Some Podcast for advanced practitioners in September of 2018. And when we initially started it, we were like, let's see what happens. Like,
literally.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens.
Maybe some people will listen, maybe some won't. And then we started getting feedback. We started hearing, and initially it was friends and, things like that. They were like, hey, that was a great show. You should do this type thing. And things were going well for the first few years. We grew numbers. We had Mission Antarctica. Thanks to Bjorn for getting us downloaded in Antarctica so we can say, we're on all 7 continents, 63 countries, all 50 states. It's crazy to think about all the places that are listening to you and I talk.
Yeah, I still don't understand it.
Well, then in November of 20, we had reached out to Pollyanna, one of our favorite guests on our show, about, why don't you start your own show talking sexual health, body positivity, things like that. And so we became Just Some Podcast Media, and we started producing our show plus Pollyanna's show, Buried Pleasures. You can go check that out, as a matter of fact. And about the same time, also, David, Nurse Papa, reached out to us and wanted to start a show as well. So in January of 21, Nurse Papa was born. That sounds really weird, but yeah. It was.
I think he'd be okay with that.
Nurse Papa was birthed. January of...
his person was brought forth onto Earth.
And so we've had these 3 shows, and we've done relatively well with everything. We've, brought on some sponsors, as you've heard with the commercials and stuff of that nature. But we had one type of episode, Tom, that seemed to be more popular than...
That's one way of putting it.
I think where it really sold me was longtime listener Matt saying he was at the gym listening to our show, which was one of the medical mystery shows. It was Dyatlov Pass. And he realized that he was just standing on the treadmill and not actually moving because he was so engrossed into what we were talking about.
That was a moment that I think collective light bulbs went off over our heads.
It did. And then we had Nurse PodCon with some amazing podcasts, Good Nurse, Bad Nurse, The Art of Emergency Nursing, the Neurodivergent Nurse, even though she's an Alabama fan, she was still pretty cool.
We try not to hold that against her.
Simple Nursing. I mean, it was just tons of great shows there. And we kind of got the brains cooking.
And Nursing Uncensored, right?
Oh, yes.
I don't want to forget anybody because they were all great. I think everybody should listen to them.
But we have decided with evolution, things sometimes change, right, Tom? And we have, I guess you can look at that with when we do our Halloween episodes where we talk medieval medicine. Clearly, there's been an evolution in medicine. There's now going to be an evolution in JSP.
I'm just waiting to hear what it is.
Oh, I thought you were going to... Did you not read the script where it said, insert witty remark here, Tom?
Oh, well, actually, the first thing that came to mind when you said, well, and things evolve in medicine, I was going to be like, not in Tennessee anymore, was what I was about to say. But
there's hence witty remark. Yes, there it was.
Yes, there it was. So Ben and I have decided that we are going to be launching a second podcast. Ben, do you want to tell them the name since it was your baby that like he was the, oh, I think this is going to be good. And then we were like, yeah, that's good. That's it. So what is it, Ben?
So the new podcast is going to be called We'll Continue to Monitor. And it's kind of a play on words for multiple reasons. First off, it stuck in my head because they had Legal Nurses Rock, I think it's what her Instagram title is. Janice did an hour episode on legal nursing, and she stressed the importance of not charting. We'll continue to monitor. And so then it was like, it just stuck in my head, and I'm like, well, but even though you're not supposed to chart it, what does every nurse chart?
Every nurse charts it. Yeah, correct. So we knew what we wanted and we knew the direction we wanted to go. And so we have decided to start integrating a second show into our schedule. There'll be 2 different shows. So we're going to be going to a slightly different format as far as how often shows come out and everything. But we wanted to make sure everybody knew that JSP is still our baby and we're still going to be putting out episodes for quite a while. But just like Ben said, things move forward. So as we grow, so will JSP, and so we'll continue to monitor. And we really hope both shows, continue to do the numbers that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and we don't want to, of course, we want Buried Pleasures and Nurse Papa to grow too. Like, we're all
not as much so. I'm not as worried about them.
Stop it.
I'm more worried about me.
That's the Tom we know and love. So this show, JSP, as you know, it will transition to a bi-weekly show, which means every other week, in case you didn't know it by legal.
Yeah, it's like, wow, way to insult them again.
That's usually your job.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that what I should be doing?
Channel to Tom.
Yeah, you're evolving.
So this show's going to be bi-weekly. We're going to continue to have guests on. We're going to continue to educate, entertain. This show's not going to change other than just it's going to go from we try to do a weekly show to a bi-weekly show. On the off weeks, then, we'll continue to monitor. It will not be on this channel, so you'll have to download it on its own channel, which will continue to monitor. And so we're going to cover mysteries, weird things.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. So just briefly, because the show will explain itself when you start listening to it. And again, if you've listened to any of the medical mysteries, medieval medicine, stuff like that, just the stuff that it's off the beaten path, but it's really interesting. That's the type of stuff we'll be doing We'll Continue to Monitor. The difference is other shows talk about stuff and they just go, well, I think that's what's supposed to go. Or they talk about the facts of the case and they kind of discuss it. But with Ben and I, you get the background of people that have been in emergency medicine. We've done law enforcement. He's done emergency preparedness, etc. So we're also talking about expanding from just medical mysteries to mysteries in general. Like, have you ever heard or seen something or read about something and go, I don't know what that is? That's the type of thing that we want to dissect and, bring to light. Like, what could it be? What are the possible explanations? We have a great time doing it, and the audience always seems to love it. So we just thought, why not give it its own legs and let it run?
Who would have thought that we'd have our own spinoff show now? I mean, it's, again, think back to 2018 when we were recording.
Yeah, 2018, I didn't think there was going to be our show, let alone a media, let alone a spinoff.
Yeah, honestly, the first episode we recorded on Skype. That's how bad it was. Now, obviously, things have changed tremendously since then. But, I mean, who would have thought then we would have had 3 shows under our media umbrella and now a spinoff into a 4th show. So it's kind of crazy.
We are very excited at Just Some Podcast. We hope you come along with us for the ride, especially you, Bjorn. We're looking at you first, buddy. You better be the first download. We're going to have to get something both from Norway and Antarctica now. I just realized that. So, to dissect on the show.
Oh, I was like,
we're going to have to do an Antarctica special just for Bjorn.
Bjorn, if there's something weird, some weird shit happening down there, let us know and we'll speculate about it. Because that's kind of what this show is going to be is, like Tom said, we kind of have this education background behind us. And so we're just going to kind of look at different things and speculate on what may have been, what could have been, and go from there.
I don't know how many times I've watched a show where the host is just saying, and people say it was a heart attack, and then just kind of like move forward, right? But somebody with medical experience is sitting there going, well, yeah, it's a hard tack because of this, or this, or no, that doesn't make sense because of, facts A, B, and C. So that's the difference. Is our show, we don't just say, well, there was Sasquatch. We kind of go over, well, here are the things that kind of led up and what may have contributed to this, this mystery. So I really think it's going to take off, and I think people are going to enjoy it. And I just hope everybody from Just Some Podcast jumps over and starts listening.
Now, the first few episodes will basically be repeats of the episodes that we've done here, our medical mystery shows. So, like the Dyatlov Pass and the Toxic Woman and Rasputin will all be over on that channel. And that's to give new listeners just that kind of feel of what we're looking for and what we do. And then we're going to start cranking out new episodes at the beginning of the year. So, looking forward to it.
Yep, January is when we start our new schedule. So, we hope you look forward to it. And again, we really hope you come over and start listening.
Absolutely. Tom, next week we're going to attack a classic Christmas movie. We wanted to do 2 this year. We did Die Hard, and obviously it's a Christmas movie. So
obviously,
but we're doing another Christmas movie, and we're going to. It's not like a typical one that we've done, like Christmas Vacation, where we looked at injuries and things like that. This one's going to be more pure speculation.
Like you said, the word attack. I don't know that we're attacking.
Oh no, what I picture is a full-fledged Nakatomi Tower attack.
He's got Die Hard on the brain. So we are going to be looking at the movie It's a Wonderful Life with return guest Eric, who's a specialist in mental health. And we're going to be talking about mental health aspects of that movie. And it is going to be a very interesting show because, like Ben said, it's not something we normally have done. We've poked at the fun stuff of like, oh, well, Clark Griswold was in a car wreck. This is what you do, or the injuries he might sustain. This is more going to be like, hey, if somebody comes up to you and says they're talking to an invisible person next to him, these are the things you may want to know, and kind of let Eric guide us on our way. Maybe he'll ring a bell. Maybe somebody will get their wings. Who knows?
I'm really looking forward to recording with him on this episode. So it's going to be fun. Don't miss it on this channel because, damn. I say what I picture is a full-fledged attack because I have... No, it's... We may ruin Christmas, Tom.
I don't think we're going to ruin Christmas.
They will write books about us. Just Some Podcast ruins Christmas.
Well, yeah. Well, let's get to it then. If that's what it takes, then let's get to it. I don't think that's going to be that bad, but you never know. Man, look at me being the positive one.
I know.
You being on the offense. What happened? Did the pole shift? Like, is the Earth flat? Like, what's really going on? Like, I want to know now.
Is the Earth flat? I don't know. We could talk about that on We'll Continue to Monitor.
Yeah, that's a whole other movie. Yeah, that's a whole other show, a whole other circus right there.
Anyway, make sure you join us next week. Make sure you join us on We'll Continue to Monitor. It releases in January, and of course continue to find us here on Just Some Podcasts as well. So on that note, wash your hands, wear your mask, have a great week.
Hey everybody, stay safe out there.
Destroying this movie.
Practice swearing just to pass the time. Lately I see why I am alone. I caught some road rage and I thought of you. And all the many times you say I should have known. Took a class so I could find my G. Find mediocrity's the best that I could do. Meant to shower but I slept all day. It takes everything to live the life I choose. Not the same without you.